Michael Flynn, the president's former national security advisor, will plead guilty this morning to making false statements to the FBI. NBC Justice correspondent Pete Williams is on the phone with us now. And Pete, we're just getting this information and looking at the court documents. What is this plea about and what is its significance?
Well, it's probably the least count that he could have been charged with. He's agreed to plead guilty. He'll be in court in about an hour, and he'll plead guilty to lying to the FBI when he initially told investigators that he had not been in contact with the Russians about their response to sanctions. This was the offense that the White House cited in letting him go early on in the Trump administration. Given all his other potential exposure, all the questions about whether he accepted money from the Russians, all the other questions about being an unregistered federal agent for a foreign country, this is probably the least that the Mueller team could have brought against him, and signals that he's agreed to cooperate, Savannah.
That's exactly where I wanted to go with it, Pete. If it's just it's a serious charge, of course, a false statements charge. But as you mentioned, there could have been other charges. It does raise the specter of whether or not Michael Flynn has decided to cooperate with prosecutors, whether he's talking to them. And there have been signals recently that perhaps that's exactly what's going on.
This is a negotiated plea. This is a plea agreement. This is the kind of court document that's filed when someone has agreed to plead guilty. But you can be sure that his lawyers didn't say that he would plead guilty in return for nothing from Mueller's team. And this is a sign that he's going to cooperate with them. And who knows what sort of additional information they'll get from him. But I think it's also a signal to other people that Mueller is investigating that if you deal with us, if you work a deal with us, if you agree to cooperate, we'll go easier on you. Absolutely.
Pete, stand by there if you would as we bring in NBC's White House correspondent Kristen Welke, who's been covering these issues. And as Pete just laid out so well, Kristen, it appears that Michael Flynn is cooperating with federal prosecutors in their Russia investigation. And if he has flipped, as the colloquial term says, and he's going to help them with their case, the question arises, who might he be fingering next?
Well, of course, the concerns are that he might be getting closer to President Trump. That is the concern within the administration and among some of the closest allies to the president. This is what we know, Savannah. The president's former national security advisor, Michael Flynn, is expected to plead guilty to making false statements to the FBI. The complaint states Flynn willfully and knowingly made false statements in January of 2017, just days after President Trump's inauguration. Now, this comes after NBC News reported that the pressure had been intensifying around Flynn in recent weeks. Federal investigators have gathered enough evidence to bring charges in their investigation of Flynn. It also comes after lawyers for Flynn notified the president's legal team that Flynn would no longer share information with them as they had been doing regularly. And as you've been discussing with Pete, that's a potential sign that Flynn may be cooperating with investigators. Now, just to remind everyone, Flynn is under scrutiny for his foreign lobbying work involving Russia and Turkey and was fired just about 24 days on the job. Savannah.
That's right. And Flynn was, of course, a senior campaign official and a close advisor to the president and is very much at the center of the campaign in the early days of the transition administration. We will follow this. We'll have more updates as news warrants. For now, we return most of you to more of today. I'm Savannah Guthrie in New York. This has been an NBC News special report.